Good morning, everyone. For the record, that is July 15th, 2021, and this is our BDA AMO ongoing training that we have every single week. And for today, we are going to have Alexandra Gala on. She is the amazing contracting person. I mean, I cannot say enough good things about what she does and her experience in that arena. But as a completion of the BDA boot camp that we did last week on Friday and Saturday, part of it is getting to know Alexandra and the contracting process. I know we've talked about it, but Alexandra is an important piece of that within the 3-mark world. So I want to give her some time to talk and walk through that because, as mentioned as well, contracting is the first experience that an agent has with our processes. So if that experience is good, then they're more likely to stick around and write business with us. If that experience is bad, well, you can only imagine what will happen afterwards. So that's why this is an important piece for us to understand. And I thank everyone for jumping on. But without any further ado, I'm going to pass the mic and the screen over to Alexandra, and she'll talk about what she does in that process, and then we'll ask some questions and go from there. But Alexandra, thank you for your time first and foremost.
No problem. Okay, let me. Okay.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay, can y'all see the screen now? I think it's loading. Yeah, okay.
Yep, we can see.
Hey, it works. I can actually see it on my phone, so I can see what you see for once. Okay. So since most of y'all actually have back office access to Cheryl C, that's the version I was going to show. I can't access the agent one anymore because they changed the format. Is okay?
That makes sense.
Okay, but since most we're setting pretty much everybody up with back office access, I can show that, and it's going to be very similar to the y'all's would be almost identical to my back office.
Yeah, and to make it easy, actually, so everyone that's on this call is actually with Wella Financial, so they have.
It looks like it, yeah. So I've seen the name.
Yeah, and Colleen helps run that. So this part is probably going to be most useful for Colleen, but good for everyone to know about. And then we'll ask some other questions from there, but continue.
So I'll actually set it for Wella so we can just have y'all's agents. 1 second. Did we put you under Wella? Yes, we did. Okay. Couldn't remember if we used the name or Wella. Okay. So when y'all go in, you should be able, once you go to your agents, it should look very similar to this where they all pull up to show you who's under Wella and then what issues they might have in their contracting. Is this something y'all normally can get to?
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Let's see. Let's just pick somebody as an example, I guess. So when your agents, since y'all have your own link, they're gonna automatically pop up here, and then I believe y'all get an email and I get an email stating the agents have completed their contracting. Once they do, we'll just go with Robert since he's first. They'll go in. I'm just being very slow this morning. Sorry. There we go. Theirs does look different than this now, but they just need to make sure that theirs is going to be on the side. They're going to have these check marks that we have across the bottom. Theirs are now listed vertically, and they need to make sure that all of them are green check marks and not, I believe it's a red exclamation point or a red X now on their contracting information. And that's going to be their EFT, their E&O, their AML. They need to make sure all of that is updated in here when they sign up. Let's see. I think, yeah, it won't let me add any more to the agent view, but they're going to also go for that DBA tab. They'll make sure they're either an individual, business, or a solicitor. I believe all of y'all's agents are individuals or businesses, correct?
Yeah.
A few of them have corps. I've seen a few come through with it, but most of them seem to be individuals.
We will have some. Nathan, won't Caesar have licensed only agents? But
oh yeah, so Caesar's group will, yeah.
Oh, so when they do that, they're just going to want to make sure they check this licensed only agent. And I need to know which agents, which if they have an agency, like if it's Caesar, so I can come in and check this box that says they have a solicitor, so that we can actually assign when they select license only. I can actually select who their upline is that they'll be assigning those commissions to. It doesn't automatically let us click that. It doesn't automatically make every single corp have solicitors. So that's just a setting we have to change. Very simple though. You would have access to it as well, actually, since y'all have back office access to select that, because they can't say who they're under when they say they're a licensed only agent. It's not going to give them this list that we have. They don't want them to be able to see that they're all the other agencies, if that makes any sense. So we would set that, but if they say that, we make sure we can't process it until we know who they're under anyway. So it'll stop the contracting to make sure it doesn't accidentally get put under the wrong person. Like I said, we would have access to that, and so would you. You can come in here and select from y'all's downline, the license only section on that drop down menu, who they're under, or I can do it either way. That will work. They need to make sure their questionnaires are all completed. Y'all have been really good about all of this. There really hasn't been much missing information. So that's good. The only thing I do need to say, if y'all are going to have agents doing fidelity, are y'all, I can't remember if y'all are one of the ones that was using fidelity.
Not too much. That's Ed's group that's using fidelity.
Okay. If they are, this history tab, which does not have a check mark, does actually have to be filled out only for fidelity. We have to have a full 7-year address history and 7-year employment history, but the only carrier that requires this is fidelity. So unless they're going to write fidelity, they don't have to worry about this tab on theirs. Other than that, it's going to automatically pull their licenses. It's going to pull their EFT. They do need to make sure it's up to date, because it will pull old EFTs if they've ever been registered in the past with SureLC or through anything through NIPR. It can pull old voided checks. So they need to make sure that that's up to date and that the check matches their name. As odd as that sounds, we have that come up a lot where they'll use a DBA and the carriers won't allow them to use a DBA if it's not a licensed DBA. So if it doesn't have its own life insurance license, it cannot be assigned to that DBA name. It's going to have to match theirs. Okay. It's going to pull any current contracts they have. And then that mainly has to do with if they're going to be transferring or doing dual appointments, just so we know which type of contract. It'll automatically apply for a dual appointment, or it'll apply the transfer forms needed to the contracting for them. Here in the training tab was where their AML would get updated. So like for Robert here, we actually do not have updated AML because the last time he took it was in 2015. So he would need to take updated AML, which they can take through Surance Bay or through LIMRA.
What do you talk about, Alexandra? We only need to do AMLs like every 6 years.
It's AIG, it's every year.
True.
They now require it every year, but a lot of the carriers are accepting the SureLC AML. LIMRA is still pretty much universally accepted. So if they want a foolproof one, they can take LIMRA. Otherwise, they can take the one through Surance Bay, but there's still a few carriers that are not accepting that Surance Bay AML. I know MU is one of them that does not accept it. So they also have an option to save 20% if they take any of their CEs through WebCE. That's a new feature they just added in Surance Bay. And when they go in, there's actually a link here that they can click to take them back to WebCE to get those discounts on any courses they need to take. So that's a new feature they just added. They can also log in to any of these tabs up here. And if they log in one time, it will automatically pull any courses they take. So if they do take AML through LIMRA, if they come in here and hit agree and type in their username and password one time, it'll automatically pull any LIMRA courses they take into the system for us. And that goes for any of these. So if they do take WebCE or if they take Reg Ed, if they log in once on these, it'll automatically pull them. But they do have to log in. Some of it will pull from Circon, which is what all this down here is. But if they want to make it the simpler process, they can log in on these tabs. Okay. And then E&O, same thing. They have to have their E&O insurance, at least $1 million and $1 million in coverage. Very rare we get somebody sending us less, but it's happened. It will not actually let you put in less than $1 million in coverage into SuranceBay. So if they don't have that, it won't even let them input the coverage amount. And it will give you a warning, and if it's expired, and it will give them an email if their E&O is expired or fixing to expire. They'll get an email from SuranceBay. Other than that, they can go into the tabs. I'll show y'all how y'all do it. That way it's easier. When you have your list up of agents, to get to the current requested contracts or to request contracts, this little appointments looks like a little paper airplane button. You click on that, it'll actually take you to any currently requested contracts and their status. So these are at the carrier, meaning that they've been processed. And y'all will be able to see that and see where it's at. And you can also request contracts through here by going to request appointment. And it'll give you that whole list of carriers. You just select it and you can send it to the carrier, to the agent, to review the contract, since y'all have backdoor access or back office access.
So a quick question on that.
Mhm.
So I know we can send it to the agent to approve it. Nathan, you had mentioned that you thought maybe we could just approve it or submit it on their behalf. Is that an option?
No, it has to be reviewed by the agent.
Okay.
Gotcha. I wasn't
So
sure if
they
there was
have to
some
log
carriers.
in. Mhm.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, they have to log in with the last 6 of their social and date of birth and actually review it. It will not apply their signature without them seeing it.
Gotcha.
And
They
that
have no way of knowing who it is that's logging in, of course, but technically the agent has to log in.
and that would be there would be one, they would have to log in each time for each carrier. So say that we wanted to request 2 or 3 carriers for them, they would get 3 emails to say, hey, go in and log in and approve this.
Yes.
Okay.
They would. So the other way they could do it is if they knew they were going to do 3, they can log in to SuranceBay, and if they request them, they're going to review them while requesting them. So they wouldn't have to log back out. It would just put them back to the main screen, and they could go to the next one without having 3 different emails. But
Okay.
if they're going to do multiple where we're sending them, it will be 3 different emails.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
Got it. So Jeff, that's good for you to know that if you tell me ahead of time which ones they should be appointed with, they can just do it then right then and there. Or if you don't, then yeah, you heard what she said.
And we can easily add them as needed. I mean, just depending, let's see, because y'all are mainly in Chicago, is it correct? Illinois area?
Yeah, Illinois area for the most part.
Illinois, pretty much. Y'all really aren't pre-appointment with very many carriers. Actually, I don't know if anybody really has Illinois as pre-appointment. I'm trying to glance at my quick little cheat sheet real quick. I don't think anybody. No, y'all are better than us down here in Texas. We have quite a few. Without Illinois being pre-appointment, y'all really can, everything can be done simultaneously. So if the agent says, okay, I'm going to write a, AXA or equitable contract or app, the contracting and the app can be done simultaneously, since we have that time. And with Illinois being a 30-day state, we do have time. It's not as bad as some where it's 15 days and it can get a little iffy to get that appointment through in time. But with y'all being in a 30-day state, it's pretty much can be done at the same time, as long as they're not missing anything drastic. Like if they don't take their AML, we need it. They have to take everything, but the contracting can be submitted while the app is being processed.
Yeah, I know that's how it is for most states, but yeah, that's many states, but carriers are different too, depending on the state as well.
Yeah, it definitely varies. There's quite a few where
So
in certain states they're pre-appointment, and then with certain carriers, the state is pre-appointment, with others it's not.
Mhm. So just to take a step back, because I know a couple of people jumped on a little bit later. Tim, good to have you on, by the way, and then Bob. So this is the back end of the SureLC link. So this is what you guys can see if you want to. I know Colleen mainly runs that, and then Tim on your side, you run that, but you can see people's contracts and where things are at. And if they've actually, submitted them. I'd say the big thing right there is seeing that reviewed green check mark. Alexandra, that to confirm, that means that the agent has actually submitted it all the way through, correct?
Yes, that means that it is done. Once I have the green check mark, I can process it and send it to the carrier, and it will apply the signatures. With the green check mark, it will not have the agent's signatures on the contracting.
Yeah. So that's just good for us to know in process when someone submits contracting, and then following up, we as the BDA following up with them, and talking to Colleen or Alexandra and finding out what's going on with, did they actually submit it? Is it a green check mark? Had they not even logged into SureLC? That gives us a good status update so that we can do good communication with the agent and say, what's going on, tell them what's going on with their contracting, or ask them, why haven't you submitted contracting yet? Because that is definitely something that bogs in the process.
Yeah, the exception to that would be where there would be a green check mark, but it hasn't been processed, is if something is missing. So
Okay.
if they don't have voided check in the system, or they don't have E&O, sometimes it will actually let them, if they've requested it, they can review the contract with those missing things, but we're not going to send it to the carrier because it's just going to get rejected. So we usually won't process it till we have the full, till everything is there. AML being an exception, we will send contracting without AML because it's not always needed, and it can be done while the apps are in-house.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's this piece then, the back end of SureLC. Do we want to just spend any other questions just on this real quick?
Yeah, sorry, this is kind of a specific question for everybody else, but just real quick, can you go back to the main page and look at Joshua Glaw? So he's missing his E&O. So what you were saying was if we were to request carrier appointments for him, you wouldn't submit those because his E&O is missing?
Yeah, they're going to reject they're going to ask for all of that. So usually we won't process. So he hasn't requested any yet, but yes, we would, if he was to request them, we're going to send you an email saying, hey, we're missing E&O.
Okay. Is there a way for me to like send him something from SureLC to say, hey, upload your E&O in here?
If you send him a contracting request, if you send it or if I send it, it's going to force him to upload the E&O when he reviews the contract.
Got it.
If he goes in and he requests the contract, that's the only way it would be able to be reviewed with the missing E&O. But if we were to send it to him to review, that's going to be one of the steps in the review process, is they will force him to upload his E&O.
Got it. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then like a few of them, so like Sandra, she actually, I can't process anything for her because of there's certain things that are missing. That's when they have this exclamation point. That means absolutely nothing can even be requested for her. No contracts can be requested until whatever the error is corrected. On hers, it's business type. So I'm assuming she did not select anything for the DBA tab. Yeah. So she left it blank. Do you happen to know off the top of your head if she's an individual or a business?
She's out. It doesn't, she doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Matters
Well, that
if
makes that easier.
she just-
But that would stop them. Like if I was to try to request an appointment, it's actually blacked out here. It will not let me go to new requests because that is, you have to have that to request a contract.
Got it.
She wouldn't be able to, and she couldn't request contracts, and we couldn't send anything if they're in that stage. But there's only a few things. I think James is the same way. He has that same error. His business, is he still active, James?
He's individual.
Okay, so yeah, he just didn't, and it's also going to mean he's not. That's why there's no E&O or EFT listed down here either, because those aren't required. So his E&O is missing as well once we selected individual. So we'll leave that, and he probably should make sure his EFT is correct, because he wouldn't have been able to see that when he went in here with selecting a DBA.
Got it.
on that. So but when they get that contract to review, it's going to have that check in there. And usually that's when they go, hey, this isn't right. This isn't my current account. I need to fix this before I send my contract. So that's not a problem to fix.
Cool. Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions on this side? I know this is, like I said, this is mainly Colleen. Tim, since you're here too, this is good for you to see because we'll walk through this another time, but you have access, you'll end up having access to this for your AMO. But this is where it starts. If we don't see, for us, the simplicity piece of if Colleen or no one sees any information in here, that means that they did not go to the SureLC link and then start a profile on SureLC. So if we don't see them in here,
I'm not
that's,
seeing myself on.
what was that, Jody?
I don't see myself on this list.
That's a good question. So yeah,
What's your last name?
because I don't, you haven't gone in,
Wilson.
you've gone to 3, you've got the 3-mark affiliate agreement, but not, you haven't started any contracting.
Yeah.
I'll send you the Wella link, Jody.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure you weren't in there under somebody else. So I just thought I'd exit back out of that and search for it just in case. As we had a few at the beginning that would just use the Praxis link, the big main link. So we wanted to make sure you weren't on that one. But yeah, so exactly just like that. If you're missing, it does let you see if somebody hasn't done it or if they used, because there's another, if they happen to go onto our website and they're logged in and they go to the online contracting, there's a link that's just like y'all's link, except it's a generic link. So it's going to take them here and it's just going to put them in as unaffiliated. And then we don't know that they're under y'all. But that's if they use y'all's link.
I was going to say, usually when that comes across, if they're not affiliated with anybody, what ends up happening is that Scott will send an email out to some people saying like, does anyone know who this person is? Because you guys don't typically process contracts if they're not affiliated with anybody.
Yeah, we make sure we know who they are because we don't know how they're supposed to be set up or if they're under what their contract level should be. We will not process if we don't know who it is, which is why using y'all's link is so great because it tells us right off the bat, oh, okay, this is a Wella agent, or we know exactly who they're supposed to be under.
Perfect. All right.
Hey, Nathan, this is Tim Lavin. How are you?
Hey, Tim, go for it.
Hey, so even though I haven't set up my profile, would some of my producers in here still be there, or would they not show unless I set up my profile?
No, and they would still have a profile in here for your producers and be assigned for you if they've actually submitted contracting. I think what we have to do for you is we have to set up your unique SureLC link. But that's very easy to assign people and put people in the system, but we can definitely check on like for, since she's in here, give one name of somebody.
Yeah, it's Nate Pollock, Pollak, I believe it is.
Pollock, okay, 1 second.
Sure.
The name sounds familiar. I think I have seen it. So right now he's under the generic Praxis link.
Okay.
So we need,
And it's very simple on my end. I just change who he's under. So that's not a big deal. Once we get you set up, we'll switch all your agents under you.
Okay, perfect. And then, so he's missing voided check.
Yes, and he has not selected his FINRA option. So whether or not he's FINRA registered,
Okay.
he would just need to go under the training tab. There's just a yes or no question on whether or not he is currently registered with FINRA.
Okay, great. I will tell him.
Yeah.
Thank
But he
you.
does have his AML.
there you go.
That's a positive.
Yep. So like I said, Tim, I know you'll be in tomorrow. We'll set up that, Colleen, I'll shoot you an email as a reminder, but we'll set up Tim and his group with a unique SureLC link as well.
Great.
So that he can have, anytime he sends that out, it'll be automatically over to him.
It's going to be Cheryl C link and back office access because they're two different things.
Oh, unique Cheryl C link. I mean, well, Tim, I'll ask you real quick. Do you think you'll use this piece?
Probably will, yeah, as I get more people on. I'd like to just kind of monitor how far they are in the process.
Perfect. So both then.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll get that set up. It's just two different things to set up. So not a
makes sense.
problem to set them up. But
So yeah. So that's this side. So this is, like I said, this is the back end of Cheryl C. And then really quick, and I don't know if you how much more time you have, Alexandra, at all, but
I'm fine.
okay. It's really quick. Let's jump over to Smart Office.
Okay.
And
It's going to be a little different because mine is,
yeah,
I know ours is a little bit different. I think, did Betsy go over
Yeah,
a lot of the
she went over
Smart Office?
Smart Office just real she went over Smart Office on her end. I suppose just from your perspective, just a few things to watch out for contracting with Smart Office.
Okay, yeah, I think it looks a little different. I think the way when ours shows up
Mhm. I can
under these, let's see, like not him, I know I just did some stuff. Okay. So we do actually have y'all the agency set up in Smart Office for Tim, like we were just talking about with Nathan.
yeah.
Anything.
Yeah, so yeah, he's in there and
And
has
so he has these. So are you asking more about like the pending versus a code kind of thing?
yeah, I was just gonna say, so really quick, once again, because this is Jeff, Jody, Tim, Bob, everyone that's on here. This is what you guys are gonna see most. I know, Colleen, you're gonna be in the back end of Cheryl C, but to start off saying that if you guys do not see a pending contract in like this, if you don't see them in Smart Office, 95% of the time, that means that they did not actually submit the contracting yet. Because
Yeah.
within what, like usually like 24 hours, I'd say, within them submitting a contract and you receive that, then that information goes into Smart Office, and then everyone will be able to see that person's that they're submitted a contract and that it's pending.
So as soon as it's processed in Cheryl C and we've sent it to the carrier, it goes into Smart Office.
Gotcha.
So if it's not in there, then there is something holding it up from being processed, usually, or they haven't requested it at all.
Or the second thing, just for us, watch out for right now as well, because Colleen, I know we have the one Wella link, is making sure, like if Jeff had an agent or Jody had an agent, that it's assigned to the right person, the right BDA then.
Are you
Yes,
saying
because
that-
when I put them in, they'll be directly under Wella, and we can easily change that. And but it's best if we can catch it before an app has gone in.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with Tim, just like we saw with Nate. We'll make sure that that's fixed in the future. We'll have good communication on that side of where contracts are at. But with that unique link, it'll automatically be assigned under you. So we'll make sure we take care of all those aspects.
Okay, and so all the pending lines here, meaning that there is something wrong on his side, or is it just waiting for the carrier to respond?
Waiting for the carrier. So that means we've already sent it to the carrier. They just
Okay.
have not yet sent us a code. And some of the carriers will send us codes right away. Mutual of Omaha, obviously we have that code in Transamerica. They will send codes very quickly. Some of the carriers, it takes either a long time for them to process, or they're just in time and they will not give us a code until there has been business in-house.
Okay, then going back to the other piece, just specifically for Nate here,
Yep.
we said that there's a voided check that's missing. Is it for all of these carriers, or is it just certain ones?
It would be
The-
all of them. So we'll send the check as soon as we get it, but we did process them to get them out because it won't stop us from sending them, but he'll be paid by paper check until he gets us a voided check.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, so
We try not to hold it for the voided check. The E&O and stuff we won't process, but a voided check, the contracts can be processed. It's just that they will not have EFT until they send us that check.
Okay.
So biggest thing on everyone's end when everyone's seeing this again is just that again, communication is key on that side of talking with Alexandra, with Colleen, with myself. I can help out looking in Smart Office and seeing what's going on with those contracts, because then from there we can find out, okay, well, what do we need to communicate to the agent? What do we need to talk to them about? And is there something that they're missing on their end, or just letting them know, hey, the carrier's being slow, we're just waiting on the carrier to get something. Or, we can like, yeah, you started contracting, what piece of business are you working on? So that we can complete those writing numbers and things like that on that end. So that's just from the BDA perspective, what we need to watch out for. There's a lot going on in the back end of contracting, as you see. It is definitely its own skill set and its own nuances, right, Alexandra?
Yes, and it's constantly changing.
Yes. So us just understanding that it is a process and there's lots of things happening. Sometimes agents don't actually realize that. So that's why communication on our end is going to be important, to let them know what's going on, because you can see how many different places this process could get bogged down. I mean, not doing the uploading a profile into SureLC, missing information in SureLC, submitting a contract with missing information, thinking that they sent a contract and it's not actually sent. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that can happen. The carrier waiting on a pending requirement or things like that. So lots of different aspects. Just be aware of that and communicate with, Colleen, myself, Alexandra, use Smart Office to find out what's going on with those different aspects.
And we also have where, on this side as well, with the Smart Office side, if your agents did happen to submit business, especially with most of y'all being in Illinois and states that necessarily aren't pre-appointment, if they happen to send in an app for, say, for Accordia, and our new business people are processing it and they see, hey, there's no contract, they're going to shoot us an email and say, hey, this agent's missing his Accordia contracting, can you send it to him? And we will then send it to them to review and request. So there's a couple of places where that contract can be requested, and it'll be caught that it's not there.
Yeah.
That.
And actually, good point. Just for, and I said, just looking at the screen, Tim. So you can already see like this. Nathan was already assigned to you as the right contact. That's where you see the first name, last name, the Lavin Insurance Agency.
Right.
So that's where you'll see that it's assigned to you. All you saw on the SureLC link was that because we sent out the Praxis link, I just emailed Alexandra right as he was doing that and saying, hey, this is under Tim. So that's already signed. But in the future, you'll have your own unique link. As soon as it gets sent out, it'll be automatically assigned to your agency then.
Great. Awesome.
Yeah, Alexandra, if you could clarify again, for me, if we are appointing 3 carriers with one submission, are they going to receive 3 separate emails to sign off on?
Yes.
Okay.
They'll have to review each contract separately. So yes, if it was like with this one, if it was the Accordia, an American General, and a Transamerica, they're going to get a contract for each one of those, because they have to lay eyes on each one of those contracts for their signature to be able to be applied.
Okay, so any subsequent appointments, it's going, if we add an additional carrier, same method's gonna happen.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's, Jeff, only if we're the ones that do it. So if Colleen goes into the system and requests those, it's going to send an email. If they go in and do that, then, and there's no extra email that's sent out, if they log into their SureLC and do that on their own.
Right, if we initiate it, that's what's gonna happen. If the individual initiates it, it won't. Okay, but it's a good thing. So when you're talking to somebody you're appointing, to make sure that they're aware of it, to keep an eye out.
Yeah.
So they sign off. Okay.
Now, this is only for my own brain, Colleen, but like Mutual of Omaha, when someone submits one contract with Mutual of Omaha, is the same thing apply where if we email you, hey, they need to get contracted with these departments, is the agent going to get an email for those 3 different same contracts?
No, so it's Mutual of Omaha lets us reprocess their contracts. So we can actually send, because there's 3 different Mutual of Omaha contracts. We can process it once for life, once for long-term care, and once for final expense without ever having to resend it to the agents. But certain carriers don't allow that. So AIG, on the other hand, will only allow us to process it one time. So we can send Partners Group and life, regular life, but we can't send Partners Group, regular life, and guaranteed issue whole life together. They will have to re-review the contract.
Gotcha. Okay. That's where it came to brain. So I guess it's not with every carrier. United of Omaha is one of those exceptions. But like I said, that's why Colleen is so important within this picture. Colleen, goodness gracious. Colleen, you're important too. You really
Yeah,
are.
you kept calling her by my name.
I apologize.
I was very confused.
Alexandra, that's why Alexandra is so important. I'm looking at you as a problem. So Alexandra is not on the screen. So Alexandra is so important within that process of contracting because she deals with all that back end. She understands the nuances between each carriers and what they're looking for and what they need. So the more information that we can, have the agent put in, and the more information we can send to Alexandra, the better that processing can go, basically.
Is Colleen copied when the email goes out to the one that's being appointed?
No, because I send it.
When the agent reviews it, it's
Got
sent
it.
to
Yeah,
me
okay.
and one other person. It only allows me to put one CC on that. I don't remember off the top of my head whose y'all's person was.
I think it's Colleen.
So wait, maybe I'm confused on your question, Jeff. So
For the agent to sign off, are you copied when that goes out?
like when we're requesting an additional appointment?
The initial appointment, we're going to do 3 carriers. The agent's going to receive 3 separate emails to sign off on. Are you copied when that email goes out to that agent?
I think you're
No.
So initially, when I'm sending someone the link, the SureLC link to say, go in and create your SureLC account, request these appointments. If they're requesting 3 appointments right then and there initially, there's no email. They don't get any email. They're just, because they're initiating the request, they're submitting that request. If they go in and create their SureLC account first and then don't request any appointments, and then a few days later you say, here are the appointments that we want you to get done, I will submit those requests and they'll get 3 emails. But I'm submitting the request, so I don't get copied on the email. This email that Alexandra is showing right now, I get this email when they create their SureLC account.
This
Okay.
is the only email SureLC will let you be CC'd on. So you cannot be CC'd. They will not allow you to be CC'd on contracting requests. It can only be sent directly to the agent. That's, I think, what you're asking about, when the requests are sent. It won't allow anyone to be CC'd on those.
Okay.
But you do get these, Colleen, when they come through. I thought it was you that was
Yep.
CC'd on them. Okay,
Yep,
perfect. Yeah. Went and
And
search
that-
for it real quick.
That's just proof that they registered and created their account on SureLC.
Yes, but this doesn't tell us that they actually did everything, just that they've at least logged in and created the profile.
Right. Okay, cool.
So would it be your recommendation to have the carriers you want appointed go in with the completed form?
Ideally, yeah. So when they're logging into SureLC the first time, if they can put in all their profile information, update it correctly, and then submit a contract, then that would be That would be ideal. That would be the ideal process. Doesn't always happen. But that would be the best scenario.
It would probably be easiest for them too, because if you're doing more than one, they would be logged in and they could do all three. They wouldn't be getting those multiple emails to review each separate contract.
Yeah, it's going back to what we teach in everything. Again, we want to push the responsibility of getting contracting in and done on the agent. So that's really on our end. Our job is they're the ones getting appointed. They're getting a direct contract. They're getting a great contract. It's their responsibility. The buck ends up stopping with them. We're here to support and help them, but we want to push that back on them of it's their responsibility to get contracting done and complete and make sure it's in. Sometimes we need to direct them and help them understand what that means, but we can't do everything for them. But
If you know anyone's login, I can show you the agent view. I just don't happen. Do you know your login per chance?
I was literally, I've been actually trying to do that, but I've got a spinning wheel of death for the past like 20 minutes because I don't remember my password and I didn't save it on my my last pass, and I'm trying to redo the password and it's literally just spinning, doing nothing. So I don't have mine, but Bob, do you know yours? Or
That could be unique.
do
I was just trying to get into Surrency Bay, and the one that I had saved is no longer working.
That's great.
There is a recover button and you can just use your cell phone to recover it.
And that's what I was trying to do. Like I'm literally, so this is here. I'll share my screen real quick, Alexandra. But so this is what it's doing for me right now. I tried to recover the password and it's just the blue spinning wheel of death.
Oh, it's saying it, they both don't match either though.
I've done it like, I mean, they do match. It's just not letting me, and I've tried it twice now. Like I redid the whole thing. But anyways.
They might be having a glitch. I haven't gotten an email from them. Normally they're pretty good about sending us an email stating they've had a few hiccups on their server. They were down for half a day last week.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's fine. Well, long story short is what we just saw in there, the agent is going to see something a little bit different, where on the left-hand side is where their profile is and their E&O. You know how Alexandra had it at the bottom? Theirs is all on the left-hand side of putting in all their information, making sure it's proper, and then they can request a contract that's on the left-hand side. But anyways, that's everything that they need to know is on the left-hand side in columns, basically. But when you guys log in and get that on, you can see that. But I think for right now, is there any other questions on contracting right now that we have Alexandra? And we all know where to find Alexandra, but it's always nice to have her on active. So I'll just do a quick 1-minute recap once again for contracting of process, and then we'll release you into the wild, Alexandra.
Could I ask one quick question? I'm just wondering, Alexandra, I got a notice, I've got a couple of small policies, and my appointment with Emeritus was hung up for background check or something. So it came in after the fact, and I've got a requirement it says something about my appointment, but I don't know how to satisfy it. That's my big question.
So yeah, I know we've gotten the last status I got from them on yours was that it was still pending.
But I now have the number, but again, I don't know where to send it, who to give it to, or anything like that.
Okay, yeah, I see. I have your number as well. It came in on Tuesday. Let me see where.
Do I go
It's,
back?
it's been sent to our new business team, so they should have gotten it to new business to connect to that app. 'Cause I was CC'd on, or I see that that Alex was CC'd on the email with your code for that policy.
Okay. And
Yeah,
so what
they-
do I do next?
Nothing. I would check in and maybe like the end of the day today, but that requirement should be fulfilled on its own. Like it's been sent out. Alex Perez sent that over. So you just need to follow up, make sure that it's cleared up and it's done. But I would shoot Alex Perez an email.
I just did. I just sent
Oh,
him an email on that on
okay.
the original email with your code to make sure that it was updated to the policy.
There you go. See, already taken care of, Bob.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
That's efficient.
Hey, I was able to get on a Sure LC account if you want me to.
Oh yeah, you can share it real quick just so that everyone can see. So this is what the agent is seeing. So this is just good to know because it's everyone repeat after me. We all love agents. We all love agents. We all love agents. Sometimes they're missing things. They don't know what things mean, but yellow marks means that there's something that there is, it's not going to stop them from doing things sometimes, depending on what it is. Well, like this one's required, so they have to complete that. Bank info and stuff like that has to be in. But if they, let's just put it this way, if they see a dot, if there's a dot on any of their screens, they need to fix that. Because the dot, well, there's a perfect example. Dot went away, all good to go.
And those are the exact same ones we had listed. It's just that on the back office, they're across the bottom of the screen, and here they're now on the side of the screen.
Yeah. So you can see all this. They need to put all of this information in. So each one of those, once they put it in, once they really don't have to do it again, besides making sure, their stuff is updated. But usually like licenses as an example, once they get their license, it'll pull it from Nipper. Like they don't usually need to add their license in there. But I will say this, because one request that we get a lot of is, hey, I just updated my E&O insurance. Who do I send that to? And Alexandra, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the best thing to do is for them to log into their own Sure LC and just add their new existing policy.
Yep, right there on that button where it says add existing policy, they would just click there and they can actually upload that before the other one is expired, and they'll just overlap and they'll have both policies in there and it'll send the current one.
And that's where if Alexandra does need that or a carrier asks for it, they can pull it straight from here then, rather than usually they think I need to send my E&O insurance. A lot of them do E&O insurance to every carrier that I'm contracted with. And that's not the case. Just have them update it in here. But all this is done. And then the contracting requests, that's where they would request their own contracts. So you create a request and then they type in the carrier that they want. And then they would start that process and they would, start with contract and hit next. And
that's also where you could see they would add the state. So if they needed an extra appointment in a state, they're like, if they're already contracted with Allianz, but they needed to add another state, they can do that here as well.
Could they update bank information here as well, same as E&O?
Yes, that was that payment option. So instead of so it had contract, and then it had out of state, and then it had payment. Payment is where they would request for new banking information.
Oh, so they'll need, so if they change their bank and want direct deposit sent somewhere else, they need to do that with every carrier they're appointed with, or can they do that here?
They can do it here, and then we still have to send it to every carrier. So they can do that, or they can send me an email and I can do that. That you don't have to review banking information. So I can process that without them having to review every contract, and they don't have to request it for every carrier. I'll do that.
Okay, so easy. So Bob, this answers your question. You can go in here and add your bank info, and that'll change it with all your carriers.
It just has to match their name. We get this a lot where they have a check in their DBA, but the DBA is not licensed with the state for life insurance, and the carriers will not accept that. We get that a lot. I actually sent 2 emails out today for that, where I needed voided checks that actually match the agent's name.
Mhm. See any other questions for anybody? I suppose going to the carrier contracts then real quick, right below, yeah. Oh, this one has 0, but in this case, but that if they had active contracts, it would show up there, correct?
Yes.
And then these are the ones that they've requested. And like I said,
But
they
have
can
not finished.
they can see on here, like I said, on their end, they don't see the green check mark anymore, which I don't like, but you can see that there's something missing from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go into, see that comment at the, yeah, right there. So that's where you can check request created by producer. So that's when it was created, basically.
Alexandra,
Mm-hmm.
do you know how many dual contracts or multiple contracts that life carriers would allow?
It varies by carrier. Some don't allow any. Some allow you to have to dual with 2. Some you have to dual at the same level. Some of them you can have up to 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Don't you have a cheat sheet on that, Alexandra?
And let me find my cheat sheet.
No problem.
I have it in
I
my
was gonna
little
say, if you
binder.
want to send the cheat sheet, I'll get it out to everyone. I'll post it on.
I'll
Van.
find it and I'll email it to you. It's not a lot that allow dual. It's gotten smaller and smaller.
I was gonna say it's
Please.
yeah, it's gonna keep on changing.
Yeah, that changes a lot. I mean, my actual cheat sheet has lots of scratch marks on it, but it changes on how many they allow, and then they change on, well, you have to stay at this level for 6 months before you can upgrade. It just completely depends on carrier to carrier. That AIG actually has not been reviewed. That's up there. You were asking about it. It has been viewed by the producer, but it has not been reviewed. Because I just pulled it up on Cheryl C, and it does not. I have no check marks.
So yeah, then you'd have to go into open. And that's what I mean. We'd have to go in there. Like this very easily is something that could bog down that process. And
Yes. So
no one
and
could know about this
it
for a
looks
while.
like they viewed it because it has been opened, but it has not actually. As you see, there's 2 red sections on 5 and 7. It has not been completed. Those
Yeah,
little red dots.
me playing around.
Yeah, but that just as an example. So it will show up, and they will see that it's in there. The agents can see that, but it hasn't been completed. So they need to know that just because they open it like that does not mean we can process it. Because right now I can't. It will not apply any signatures to this contract if I try to process it. It won't let me.
And that's why there's a red dot here.
Yes.
Okay. So if this was all in good order, they would have no dots here.
I believe there should not be a dot. I'm not entirely, because I don't ever get to see this version.
Yeah, I will say that from my end is that if there's a red dot, then it either A, is not going to process correctly, or it's not going to let them process. But like I said, it's not a perfect system. So sometimes even if there's a red dot, sometimes they can send, they feel like they've sent something in, but that's not actually what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, ideally they should have no red dots. Any other questions? And hey, Tiffany, good to have you on, by the way.
Thank you.
Not Tim. I said Tiffany.
Oh,
I already said it's good to
Good
have you
morning.
on, Tim.
sorry.
You're good.
Okay. Getting mixed up with names here.
though I didn't enunciate properly. But any other questions with contracting since we have Alexandra here? Hopefully that helps everyone. Like you said, I'm gonna do. I won't have Alexandra go through it, but as soon as Alexandra walks off, then I'll go through like 1-2 minutes, just very simply the contracting process again, since everyone's here. Of just what we're looking at a more simplistic side. But these are the tools that we use. So the back end of SureLC and then Smart Office to check on what's going on with contracting. So this is stuff that's all happening behind the scenes. But any other questions for Alexandra since we have her? Awesome. Well, Alexandra, then I'll say just, again, thank you for your time on that end. I know there's a lot of stuff that goes on with contracting, so we really appreciate everything that you do on that end.
No
And,
problem. If y'all have any questions, you can always email.
and I was going to say too, just as a warning for everyone, because I usually do this, not usually when Alexandra's on, but if any of you make Alexandra mad, you'll go away before Alexandra does, okay? We know people. But no, thank you for that. All right. Well, Alexandra, I'll let you get going. Thank you for spending the extra time with us on that.
No problem. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So really quick, 2 things that we'll go over real quick is I just want to walk through again, and then everyone's on contracting process from our end for 1 minute. I'm going to breeze through it. And then what I like to spend the last like 10, 15 minutes talking about is, I know many of you were on the debt to action plan. I just want to have a conversation about marketing and that we have a time set up for that to do that for agents. And we'll briefly talk about that. And again, we'll be out of here at 11 o'clock sharp as always, maybe beforehand, but contracting process. Hold on 1 second. All right, let's see. So I'm just going to use the cheat sheet basically that we've already created. But once again, contracting starts from here. So I know for many of you, Colleen is sending this out, but we have a contracting template that gets sent out. Know the area, know the carriers that the agent is getting contracted with. Usually no more than 5 to get started. Make sure the unique AMO link is in that contracting link. They're getting below street level contracts. They need a transmittal. Don't need to worry about that right now. Make sure you have the conversation with the agent about if they need advances or not. And then just as a note for advances, like I said, we're not going to go through this, just the process really quick. Once contracting is submitted, then check in Smart Office, because once it's submitted, it should be in Smart Office as a pending contract. If it's not in Smart Office, then you guys already know that something is going wrong with that process. You can email Alexandra, or for everyone at Wella, you guys can email Colleen and see that the contracts are in pending in Smart Office, or you can talk to your AMO to check in the back end of SureLC to check on contracting as well, just see what's going on with that status. And as a note, and I didn't put this in here, I should, but once you've sent the contracting to them, I would put in your tasks on HubSpot to follow up with them in 2 days. So once a contract has been sent out, put in your calendar or in HubSpot or a reminder that you follow up with them in 2 days. And before you call the agent, I would talk with Colleen or email Alexandra or check in Smart Office to make sure that what the status is. Did they create a SureLC link? Did they create a SureLC profile? Did they submit a contract? Have they done none of that? Because then you're following up and ask, hey, contracting was sent over. I just want to make sure you had a chance to take a look at it. I see that you're already pending in the system. I'll keep you updated as soon as you get your writing number. Hey, do you have a piece of business that you're working on right now? Or, hey, I see that you haven't had time to look at the SureLC link. I don't see a profile in there yet. Did you have problems with the link? Did you get the email? Those are the conversations that you're having on your end. So that's really it on that process of getting the contracting started. And then after that, it's just follow up and communication of what's going on with the pending contract and asking them if they have a piece of business. So any questions about that? Easy peasy, super simple. Great. Well, like I said, before I move on then and talk about just, marketing and activity, everyone good on contracting? Any questions that anybody has, or, something that's come up on your end or something that you're noticing, since we have everyone together, anything else before we move on to a different subject? The blank stares tell me all. I suppose I didn't realize that my video wasn't on. Sounds good. Well, so then we are considering contracting complete and closed for right now. Again, last other thing is, if things change, if you have questions for everyone at Wella, you have Colleen. We can, Tiffany, Tim, we can directly talk with Alexandra. You can touch base with me. That's what we're here for, to find out and get that contracting process as smooth as possible and get people in, because without a contract, they cannot produce. And if they don't produce, we don't make any money. So, we don't help the client out the right way. That's what I'm supposed to say, right? Thank you, Colleen, for the slow smile there. That was good. But I appreciate everyone on this. Let's really quick then, I'm going to shift gears, and we're not going to spend much time on this, but we have an event at the end of the month that I have put into Band. And I'm going to share my screen real quick. So really quick show of hands. Who was on the Debt to Action Plan webinar? I know a few of you were. No raising hands. No one's going to raise their hands. Nobody. All right. Well, I know a bunch of you were on it. Tiffany, you were on it. Tim, you were on that too as well. Bob, I think you joined. Jeff, you were there as well. So if you go into Band, and hopefully everyone can start using this more and more, so I don't have to send a group text out. But right now in Band, there's an event on the 27th called the Debt to Action Plan webinar. There's a registration link already created. And the 3i community is sponsoring this, because the 3i community is a agent-facing brand that everyone's inclusive of. But I have a description in there. We can change the description. They're going to give us some materials as well. I should get them hopefully before the end of the week. But we are having, so we don't have I know, because Tiffany, you're on, and some people asked about pricing and things like that. Long story short is that we have a discount on that pricing. But depending on the organization, and if it's agency or things like that, we can do different things. So there's some variance in it. We're going to have something locked down for like a set one, so that we can do a direct call to action after this webinar is over. But as a quick back end review, the Debt to Action Plan is one of our technology partners that created a software that uses whole life insurance to help clients get out of debt. So very easy targeting wise for this is anybody that sells whole life insurance, not final expense, but dividend paying whole life, a Nelson Nash practitioner, Pamela Yellen, likes to read those books, sells whole life to clients, this is something that is going to be interesting for them. So doesn't matter who they are, if they're interested in selling whole life or sell it already, then this is what you should be talking about for the next event, is get them on this webinar, because the technology platform is really amazing. And they're basically doing the selling for us of, hey, we have resources like this all the time. The conversation that you're having with them is, hey, would love to earn your contract through that. You know, we earned your contract. We can give you a discount on this platform, basically. So we don't want to just give them the platform to give them the platform. Yes, we like transparency and like playing nice in the sandbox with everyone, but our real thing is getting them to this webinar and asking them for their contract.
Nathan, which carriers are they focusing on with that program now?
The ones that they have, let's see, because they actually have it on the website. The ones that they have focused on it are Foresters, Mutual Trust, and Lafayette. So Mutual Trust, we don't have them, but Foresters and Lafayette do. We do, but we also have the other carriers that are in that space as well. So like One America, SBLI are in this case, and they can add those within a few days, like they said. So even if I know these are the focus right now, but the program's just getting started, and we're one of the few kind of tester pilots. So if they're working with a whole life carrier, ideally one that we have, we can add that in there. Like I said, I'll use One American SBLI as the example. So we have those two carriers as well. They're really good in the whole life space, and they would be able to add it. And I know like you're working with a Mass Mutual team as well. Technically, they can add Mass Mutual in there as well. And then we can earn their contracts in other areas.
And okay, so I'm trying to understand Mutual Trust and Lafayette. We don't really deal with them, correct?
Lafayette, we do.
Lafayette, we do. Okay.
Yeah, Lafayette and Foresters. So these are the three carriers that they put into their platform from the very beginning. And Foresters and Lafayette, we can offer from our platform, basically.
Okay.
Mutual Trust is just not a carrier that we have within our portfolio, but between Lafayette and Foresters, they would compete against Mutual Trust. Or like the other two big carriers that we have are SBLI and One America then as well. So those are other two good whole life carriers that Agency Rocket can add that within a few days. So don't worry, don't get hung up on the carriers, focused on the platform of using dividend paying whole life to get clients out of debt. And that we have a whole technology platform and sales funnel for the agent to utilize to be able to talk about that sales pitch, basically. But
Got it. Thanks.
no problem, Tiffany. But yeah, that's, like I said, push that, because event-based marketing, as we talked about, is one of the simplest and easiest ways to get an agent interested in something that you're doing. Because this is non-confrontational. You're not asking for a contract right now. You're saying, hey, we're sharing information that we believe is really important that you need to know about. Come check it out. And through that, they get to learn a little bit about us and what we're doing. And that's really what the debt to action plan is really all about. And we're hosting a webinar, and you can tell them point blank, we're one of the few people that have access to this program. There's only a handful of other IMOs that are even talking about this right now, because, I mean, again, Praxis has a relationship with the owners of Agency Rocket. So leverage that as well. You can be the first to get your hands on this software. But any questions?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Go for it,
Nathan.
Tim.
I don't want to be coming off negative or anything, but just a question. So the 7702 rule recently changed, and from what I was reading before, it was a little bit more of a detriment to whole life, but a positive for IUL. Is that affecting the whole life in this whole system, or have you looked into that?
It's not good. So, I wanted to go down a giant rabbit hole. I'm not going to right now, but long story short, the way that 7702 is affecting whole life is it's probably going to affect its guarantees, where that whole life is going to, the reserves that they need is going to decrease basically, which means that the guarantee column of the illustration isn't going to be as high, but the dividend column could be. This plan is based off of guarantees though, so it could affect that slightly, but there's still whole life practitioners that know like if you're talking to a whole life agent, they know how that's going to affect the carriers that they're working with and the plans that they're doing. This system is just going to adapt to what that is because it's using those illustrations. So the 7702 concept is negligent within the software because the software is going to adapt to those rulings no matter what.
I get it. So they'll just adjust to that. I got it. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, so it's the idea being that we all know that there's people selling whole life out there or maximally funded life insurance plans. All we're doing is finding those people and saying, hey, we have an amazing software platform. Come check it out. I think this is going to blow away some of the things that you're already doing because a lot of them are using really fancy Excel spreadsheets, or they have, you're working with your family bank or the Nelson Nash Institute. And this is a third-party software that's outside of those that they're not pigeonholed into getting a contract. Yes, we would like to earn their contract, but we're not demanding that they get a contract just to look at the webinar, basically. So find those people that are using whole life or interested in using whole life to do that. And, we have a whole entire platform that can help them with their clients get out of debt using whole life. And the system's already built out with all the maths and thing in the background, the statistics. So that's the advantage of this platform. Any other, so last other thing, just like I said, if you go into the registration's right here. So this is all that you would have to send them. It's the 27th of July at 11 a.m. And everyone on here, I would register for that yourselves. So you can participate in it. And then if you have an agent that's interested in that, I will put some so I'm going to create some social media posts and I'll have her team do some things as well. Probably by the end of the week or by Monday latest. And I'll make sure that I post that in Band, which is why I want everyone to, log in and look at Band a little bit more because I'll have those things in here. And you can pull infographics from this. From here, you can send that out in social media yourself. You can go to our social media pages and share that as well, and get people there. And like I said, we'll have a master list then. And again, this is a place where I'll put it so to make sure that everyone knows who is registered and who hasn't. But I'll post this every couple of days of the master list so that you guys can see, well, who's registered for this and who hasn't. So you can follow up with them and say, hey, I sent that information to you about the Debt to Action Plan webinar. Did you get a chance to take a look at that? Did you register for the webinar? And if you don't see their name on there, then you can call them and say, hey, let's register you together. You could register for them if you get a yes, basically. So use this. Event-based marketing is definitely where it's at. And this is a webinar, so we can do this for anybody in all 50 states. Anybody have any questions about that? Well, thank you, Jody, for the smile, at least. No, like I said, I have nothing else. Any questions just in general, since we have the time together before we get together next week?
None here.
This-
All good. Thanks for the presentation.
You're welcome, Tim.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Jody. Well, I'll let you guys go then. I will, like I said, check band, use that registration link. We'll be posting some stuff from our end so that you have materials that you guys can use and send that out for anybody that's interested. Other than that, like I said, you still have your regular conversations, of course, but it is much easier to invite people to a webinar than anything else. So leverage that. We're looking to our goal is to get 50 people actually there, which probably we need about like 75 to 100 registered. But a 50 would be a good group of people to get on a webinar and see that information. And then I'll follow up with all of them afterwards. With that said, though, I will, as a recording, because we had some stuff on contracting, things like that. I'm going to make this a private recording. So this is not going to go on YouTube. Well, it'll go on YouTube, but it'll be private. So just our team can see it. But then I'll post that in the band. If that was useful, you need to go back to it. And then we'll rock and roll from there. But I appreciate everyone's time. Everyone have a great rest of your day. If you have any other questions, you know where to find me.
Have
Have
a
a
great
good day.
day.
Have a great day, everyone.
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.